The house that grew new rooms. Eleanor bought the house because it felt alive. Of course, houses weren't supposed to feel that way, but the moment she stepped through the creaky wooden door, she sensed a kind of breath within its walls. It was an old Victorian place, with ivy crawling up the stone and windows that blinked like tired eyes. The realtor had smiled nervously. "It's been on the market for years. People say it's odd, but the structure is solid. You won't find a better deal." Eleanor, freshly divorced and craving a new start, signed the papers. The first few nights were peaceful. She unpacked boxes, painted the faded walls, and set up her writing desk by the window. But on the fourth night, she woke at midnight to the sound of wood shifting, like beams groaning under pressure. She dismissed it as age. Old houses made noises. It wasn't until the next morning that she noticed the door. In the upstairs hallway, between her bedroom and the bathroom, stood a door she swore had not been there before. Its brass knob gleamed as if freshly polished. Heart-pounding, Eleanor turned it. The door opened to a small room, bare and dustless, with pale blue wallpaper and a single window overlooking the garden. She laughed uneasily. Maybe I missed it before. But she knew she hadn't. She had walked that hallway dozens of times while moving in. There had been no door, no room. The following week, another appeared. This time at the end of the hall, past the stairwell. Behind it was a study, furnished with a desk and shelves already stacked with books. None of the titles were familiar. She ran her fingers over spines labeled in languages she didn't know. By the end of the month, the house had grown 4 new rooms. A library, a music chamber with a grand piano, a greenhouse glowing with plants she had never seen, and a nursery, though Eleanor had no children. Neighbors whispered when she mentioned it. One old man warned her, "That house has always been hungry. Careful what you let it feed on." Eleanor ignored him. She had grown fond of the rooms. She spent evenings in the library, reading strange volumes that seemed to shift words when she wasn't looking. She played the piano despite never learning, and the keys guided her fingers into haunting melodies. But then the rooms began to change. The nursery filled with toys that moved when her back was turned. The greenhouse plants pulsed faintly, as though breathing. And one night, she found the door to her bedroom had vanished entirely. In its place was a hallway that stretched far too long. Panic gripped her. She ran, searching for the familiar staircase, but the house twisted itself, offering only new hallways, new doors. Behind one was a ballroom, chandeliers swaying without wind. Behind another, a cellar dripping with water, though she had no basement. Finally, after hours of wandering, she stumbled back into her bedroom. The door reappeared behind her. She slammed it shut, trembling. The next morning, all seemed normal again. The house looked the same as before, though the new rooms remained. She considered leaving, selling the place. But something held her there. A quiet whisper in her mind, "Stay. The house is making space for you." Over time, she began to notice the rooms reflected her moods. On lonely days, the house grew sitting rooms with soft couches. On restless nights, it grew endless corridors where she could wander until sleep returned. On mornings of joy, she woke to sunlit balconies that hadn't been there the day before. The house wasn't just alive. It was listening. Months passed. Eleanor stopped questioning. She no longer feared the rooms. They were hers in some strange way, built from her needs, her sorrows, her secret longings. But one evening, she discovered a door she had never dared to open before. It was black, carved with symbols, and ice cold to the touch. Something about it felt final, like a boundary. She resisted for weeks, yet the door lingered in her thoughts, calling to her. Finally, one stormy night, she gave in. The door opened into a mirror of her childhood bedroom. The wallpaper was the same, the stuffed animals neatly arranged on the bed. And there, sitting at the desk, was a younger version of herself, maybe 8 years old, scribbling in a notebook. The girl looked up, smiled, and said, "I've been waiting for you." Eleanor's breath caught. "What is this place?" The child shrugged. "It's your house. It grows because you grow. Every room is a memory, a dream, or something you've forgotten." Tears welled in Eleanor's eyes. "And this room? This is where you left yourself behind," the girl said gently. "But you found your way back." Eleanor reached for the girl, but her hand passed through like mist. The room began to dissolve, the furniture fading, the walls crumbling into light. When Eleanor blinked, she was standing alone in the hallway. The black door was gone. After that night, the house stopped growing. The rooms remained, but no new doors appeared. Eleanor understood why. She no longer needed it. For the first time in years, she felt whole. Still, some nights, when the wind rattled the windows, she swore she could hear a faint creaking in the walls, as if the house were still breathing, quietly waiting, should she ever need it again.